So, do you see the whiteboard? I would like to start today a bit with a story. Do you see the whiteboard open?
Yes.
Very good. And there is a little story about Abba Kolon. And who will volunteer to read? First, we shall read the story, we shall discuss the story, and see what kind of wisdom hide behind the story. And then we shall read Genesis and see what is the connection between the two. Okay, so now at the moment we look for a volunteer to read the story about Abba Kolon. Do you see the text on the
I can
yes?
if it is.
Okay,
Um,
second I will make it bigger. Is it good, Jill?
I need it probably centered just a little bit more. I have
Is it
some things
better?
on my screen.
Is this better?
I still need it a little bit bigger,
Okay,
a little bit.
let's see. Bigger. I hope because it will cut up the story. We shall see what I can do. Second.
Oh, you know what? I can move my thing around. I had been having problems with it, and so
Mhm. One second, because if
uh,
I make it bigger, it will go out.
okay, I have it. I have it now. Yes,
Everybody, now I made it little, but now it's in the middle and it's the full text. Do you have the full text? Yes?
yes.
Yes, thank you so much.
hmm Abba Kolon is a mythical Roman mentioned in a Talmudic legend concerning the foundation of Rome, which, according to the Haggadah, was a result of the impious conduct of the Jewish kings. According to the legend, the first settlers of Rome found that their huts collapsed as soon as built, whereupon Abba Kalon said to them, "Unless you mix water from the Euphrates with your mortar, nothing that you build will stand." Then he offered to supply such water, and for this purpose journeyed through the east as a cooper, and returned with water from the Euphrates in wine casks. The builders mixed this water with the mortar and built new huts that did not collapse. Hence the proverb, "A city without Apollyon is not worthy of the name." The newly built city was therefore called Babylonian Rome.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And who would like to summarize the story? Even if it's a legend, let's maybe relate to it like a legend. And who would like to summarize the story? And we shall see then the wisdom behind the story. What happens here?
The items that they mixed together wasn't strong enough for their huts to stand.
Yes. In Rome, they try to build like huts. But whenever they try to build a hut, what happens to the hut or to the huts?
It collapsed.
They collapse. Until Abba Colon said, what did he say?
I mixed water from the Euphrates with your mortar.
Yes. And then what happens? He went to the Euphrates, he brought some water and they mix it. Yes.
Yes.
And what happens after he brought water from the Euphrates? What
They
happens?
they stopped collapsing.
They stop collapsing.
Mhm.
So, and they could build, and what they built could stay. This is the conclusion from this text, isn't it?
Yes.
Now, I would like to move with a map here, and I would like us to see here. This is the map of Rome in 117 after Anno Domini, meaning after the Christian era. This is the blue here in the center. This is the Mediterranean Sea. And those dots that we see around the map, like Spain, France, Italy, Greece, and so Turkey, Lebanon, Syria, and so even Egypt and the whole North Africa is basically Roman colonies. Now, why do I bring this story about Abacolon? What is the relation to this map that we see, how do you say, expensive building, a lot of colonies around the Mediterranean and the Euphrates River? What is the relation that I'm looking for? What is the point of reference which I'm aiming to? And now we have text from Genesis 2, verses 10 to 14, which speaks about the four rivers that are going out of Eden. Who would like to read the text and then unite all of those points of reference? Yes, Genesis 2, 10 to 14. Who would like to read?
I can read again.
Thanks.
And a river went out of Eden to water the garden, and from thence it was parted and became four heads. And the name of the first is Pisbon, that is, which compasseth the whole land of Havilah, where there is gold, and the gold of that land is good. There is palladium and the onyx stone. And the name of the second river in is Gahoya, the same is that compasseth the whole land of Cush. And the name of the third river is Tigris, that is that is it which goeth toward the end of Ashar, and the fourth river is the Euphrates.
Thank you so much. Now, what are the names of the river that those verses speak about? Can you say their name again? I would like to write them down for us and see how does it connect to the story of Abba Kolon and the establishing of Rome. Yes,
Um,
which, yes,
Bashan, Havilah.
Pishon.
Mhm.
Pishon is the name, the first of the name river. Pishon, I write this also in Hebrew, Pishon. And the second,
Let's see. Wait. Second is Gihon.
yes. And the third,
Tigris.
yes. I write his name, its name in Hebrew. I mean, in Hebrew, in English letters, Hidekel, here, Hidekel, because the English Bible say here the name of the geographical, and it's not geographical, it's like a metaphorical river. Hidekel. And the fourth river,
Euphrates.
Euphrates. Prat, Prat in Hebrew. So we have here four rivers that Genesis 2 mentions. And the fourth river is Prat. So what was the advice? And now please let me write the four letters of the Tetragrammaton parallel to those four rivers. For Pishon, we have Yod, the first letter. For Gichon, we have the first Hey. For Chidekel, we have Vav, and Prat, Euphrates, Hey. Now, the question is, what was the advice? Now, when you see the names of the four rivers and you see the numbers on the right and the letters, the tetragrammaton on the left. What was the advice of Abba Kolon? Why was he advising them to take, let's say, a source or the potential of building from Euparat or Prat and not the other rivers? Why was he recommending for them to take the potential water for building from the river Prat? Who would like to answer?
The fourth river would have been the Dalit or the extreme development, maybe.
Yes, yes, this is it, the extreme development. Excellent, because very good. The Dalet, the extreme development here. Very good, the Dalet. The extreme development. Take the potential of the extreme development, and from this drop, You can expand, and here, excellent, we can see how the Roman Empire expanded. Excellent. Now, another tip, Kolon. Kolon is a colony. So his name is Abba Kolon, the father of colonies. This is the story, the father of colonies. Abba Kolon. This is the first explanation of the name because it's a legend. Now you are invited to ask questions and to share impressions. Questions.
I guess my impression um, is when I see everything, once you put everything, you number them and then put them in the order, it just seems so much deeper. I always think it just seems so much deeper than what I've ever imagined. And so I just sit and look and kind of study from there.
Thank you for your comment because this is, in a way, I would say aim. I wouldn't like to say aim, but I wish that we could together, by having conversation, that the inherit of wisdom, the river, could go to each and every one of you, and you could see beyond the legend, beyond the myth, beyond the geographical map. You could see beyond. This is why we initiate those sessions with you. This is it. That you will be able to see the the infinite in the finite, and then we have peace.
I can see that. Thanks a lot. That's awesome.
You're welcome. You could see that, Jill. You could see that. Good morning to all friends.
Eti,
Yes,
hello,
good morning. Shalom, shalom.
shalom, shalom. Um, just I was hearing here. I just got one part of the conversation, but my question is simple.
Yes,
Um, I really appreciate what you said about Abba Kolon. He's the father of colony, but I'm not sure if this is something good because we know that Rome is an exile for Shechinites, an exile for the people of Israel. So, what does it mean? This making colonies in the extreme development, like Jill said, it's uh, this is why is let's say a place of galut or not or I'm not seeing
we
just
could
thinking.
see it's very good that because we could see the expansion of the four letters of the tetragrammaton also in time. I would like to open this because you ask it's a galut, is it an exile? And I would like to open this with you, and you can tell me how do you feel about this, what I'm going to offer you as looking through history uh, with this kind of lens. As we see, there are four letters of the tetragrammaton here. Vav, I will make the Vav longer because I want to say something about it. Yod is the beginning of wisdom. We can look now. I make a sketch which explain like 3,000 years of history, like 1,000 years before counting before Christ until our time, 2000. So minus 1000, and we are plus around 2000. So it's about 3000 years. I'm going to sum up by using 4 letters of the tetragrammaton. In 1000, which is also Elif, Elif, also Aleph, we take it as Aleph, letter Aleph. We have the first temple of Solomon, first temple, and also we can look at 1000 as what? 10 in the power of 3. This is how we write 1000 in mathematics, 10 in the power of 3, 10 double 10 double 10. Then we have the first temple in the promised land. And here, minus 500 approximately, minus 5, because this is how we count. The whole universe count like 500 years before Christian era. Please pay attention to the relation of the 5 here as a number, and hey here as a letter, which is also has the value of 5. Here we can see Greece and philosophy, philos, philo, philosophy here. And also here we also read about the Persian, and the story of Esther. The book of Esther is here, Persia. And then we have here like a cut. This is when this 0 is Jesus' time and destruction of the second temple. And this is basically from here, in a way, we have Rome coming as republic in the middle between the Yod and the Hey. We move here, and then we have 2000 years until here. This is the longest exile which Fernando was mentioning. Here we have 2000 years, basically. And this is our time. This is another way to look at 3000 years in this structure, because around 500 before Christ, also in East Asia, in China, we see a rising of philosophy. So there's expansion. And why do I make this sketch? Because there's expansion of wisdom in different places. We see in Persia, in Greece, there was wars between the Persian and the Greek people. And when there's a war, people are meeting, and there's like a transfer of knowledge. Also culture and words are moving, and habits and medicine, many things are moving while there's a war. War is not just a bad thing as people tend to see. So we see here the letter Yod is the first temple of Solomon, and then we have expansion of wisdom, and the wisdom goes out to the world and to Rome and to Greece. First we have Rome. It depends on how we look at it. But since Fernando was asking about the long exile, and here the Vav, why do we speak about long exile? Because the Vav is long. And still, we are dealing today, the Greek philosophy is still valid. Because what is the meaning of exile? People forgot about the wisdom. People don't want to deal with wisdom, just with building, rapid building. Now it's open for discussion. I hope I did not bore you with this sketch.
It's amazing. It's amazing because, and it's interesting. Once you said that the Levites was the only one that in Egypt wasn't slaves because they could remember the secret wisdom, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
So it seems that the exile is not for everyone. It's just for the one who forget
Yes,
his region.
yes. To those who forget, this is an exile. But to people with connection to the higher, they are connected. In a way, the Romans, they also brought different kind of style of dressing. They started going with shirt, how do you say, shirt, skirts. Yes, they brought, and the first time in Rome, we find like shaved men. In Greek, they still used to wear beards. Beard in Hebrew, zakan, zakan, not just zaken old, but zakan is this one who brought wisdom. And there's many changes which are happening. In our times, men are going with their beard and they go to the barber to make their beard beautiful. This is kind of a fashion, but the meaning of beard in Hebrew, ze kana chokma, this one brought wisdom. Beard symbolizes wisdom, wisdom and mercy at the same time. Wisdom and mercy, not just wisdom, naked wisdom, but wisdom and mercy. Impressions or questions?
You were saying, Eti, that the wars is not something bad. Could you expand a little bit this idea?
What happens in wars? Weinreb also speak about it in his book. People are meeting, people from different perspectives are meeting, and there's like mutual fertilization. People who never met this phenomenon, like in there was like great wars between the Persian and the Greek, and there's we see also there's like once people are meeting, certain people meet another people, there is a transformation of both sides. They suddenly need to negotiate. They need to understand each other. Sometimes they come from completely different field of languages, and each one holds the traditions of his ancestors. And once you meet a person from another tradition, not just in a war, just here in Israel, it's a melting pot. Also, I think in Brazil, it's the same. People are coming from so many places, and each person, each human being is a completely entire universe, and each human brings with him such an expansion of time and space and knowledge and mercy. Depends of how we want to look at this, but war is not just a bad thing. Look at the word war in Hebrew. Milchama, milchama, war. So we can divide the word milchama into two words and maybe much more. Melach, sword. Remember, it is also given. Melach, mama. Sword, what? And he said it. Ma is Adam. 45. What is not just a question, a word of question, like what? It is also statement. Ma is 45, like Adam, like human. And melach, salt, is 78. Three times the tetragrammaton, the spirit. So what we think as war, it is basically the human spirit we see in a war. We don't tend to see it like this. We don't tend to see it. But a war many times carries the spirit of man. Also, Chalom. We have here dream. Chalom. Chet, Lamed, Mem. Chalom, dream, and Adam, human. If you take the word milchama, war in Hebrew, which has 5 letters, you can make from this word 120 combinations, 120 words. Even war in English, war and listen to the sound, war and word. There is a relation military, military, mila, military, mila, male, email or male, which is not feminine or so. There is a relation between all of this. Questions and impressions.
This is amazing, Eti. Also, I was thinking about lechem as well.
Lechem bread, yes,
Bread.
yes, lechem.
And this topic is quite something. Uh, while you were speaking about this, struck me this idea, and I remembered also a book of Indian tradition. It's the Bhagavad Gita,
Mm-hmm.
which describes the war between two armies, and Arjuna is the the one who is being uh, he's devastated about it because he is in a beginning of a war with his own cousins and family and so, and he's devastated about it. And then Krishna, which is the incarnated verb, which is the word, he comfort Arjuna, saying that this is only a matter of time. It is only in the realm of temporal. This war it's affecting only the temporal. It's not affecting the eternal. And when you were talking about these exchanges, these cultural
Mm-hmm.
exchanges, and so it's quite quite an it's 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 incredible to think about this, because uh, these wars, these inner wars that we have, these struggles with our own spirit,
Mm-hmm.
they are they are very important for us to develop ourselves, to develop our spirit, and this is represented as well in these physical, worldly wars. But we have this, like, this common ground that we always say, and I think it is truly feeling. We no nobody wants war, right?
Yes,
Nobody
nobody wants. Yeah.
nobody likes people being killed and people being and refugees and so. But just I was just wondering about it. It's a deep topic. It's quite something for us to approach in a dedicated manner. But yes, thank you for bringing this.
Thank you for mentioning this. It's not just external war with army and army, that's army of state and an army of another state. The wars are within ourselves, like you mentioned. This is a very, very interesting. Yes, it's a very beautiful perspective. It's not just external war, like Jacob with the angel, or it depends of how we want to look at it. We have like struggles within ourselves, and those struggles is basically about the spirit.
Eti,
Yes.
since Felipe mentioned this story in the Indian book, the Hindu book, that is Bhagavad Gita, Mahabharata, it's one of the stories. It makes me remember the scene where Arjuna, that is the hero of the story, it's about to go into war, and Krishna, that is the god, let's say, that is commanding it, stops the war and makes Arjuna gets a ride in front of all the combatants. And Arjuna says that he didn't want to fight because he would kill his former masters and his cousins and other familiars that are in the other army. But so Krishna says that he needs to do this. And when you read that, you see that it's an internal thing, you know.
Hmm.
You need to break with masters and to break with your what you learn from your culture or with the taboos that people puts in you, and
Yes, yes,
and
excellent.
it's a war, you know. It's not
It's a
easy.
war. It's a war. Yes. It's a constant war. Yes. We don't understand because, in a way, our lives here, because the wars, the great wars, were before us in the 20th century. The First World War, the second, they were before our times, and we grew, so to speak, with TV and music, and we don't know. We just read about wars, or we saw like document, but the real war is inside. Yes, it's internal war. Like there is description in the Bible in which Moses killed Egyptian men, but he kills or dispose the Egyptian with him. First, we have to dispose like old parts of us that we would be able to continue, like what you described now. It's a struggle. It's a struggle to leave behind what we think is who we are, what schools and the tradition or society around us, doctrine, or the state doctrines tells us that who we are or defines us. So to leave this shell behind, it's a great struggle. But while leaving those shells behind, we are being born all the time. We think, some people think, that if they leave themselves behind, they are dead. Yes, because it's to remove something which is not necessary any longer to the tree to grow. But we continue to be born like this tree. He shades the old leaves, the dry leaves of the former season, and then the head of the tree, the peak of the tree, continues to the light, to the sun, higher. We don't define a tree which is growing naturally as he is having a war. I mean, the tree is having a war with the sun, with the rain. We say, oh, it's a beautiful tree. He grows here, stand here all year long, maybe many years. We just say it's nature. But when it happens to us, we say it's a war. You see, when we shade our old selves from yesterday and we move to the next day. It's like a tree. But since we have attachment to the people who we think we were yesterday, from this comes the struggle, the attachment.
Can I say something?
Yeah, sure.
I kind of feel like this with the story of Abba Cologne.
Hmm.
A lot of the things that I'm unlearning now, and I've been questioning for years, traditions and the reasons behind them. I kind
Hmm.
of feel like everything sometimes is crumbling out from underneath me. And so, I'm looking for something that's definitely more solid. But I do feel like it's been a war for a while because sometimes when you question things, then even your family and friends kind of turn against you. And so
Hmm.
that's kind of been my experience. And so then I'm like, okay, so if you're going to turn against me, then maybe I should be questioning it. And so I just kind of feel like it does feel like everything is crumbling apart at times.
You feel that like everything is being torn under your feet. This is what you describe, if I understand.
Yeah.
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 The
Like
ground is moving, the ground is moving, and or there's a crack in the ground on which you're standing.
yeah. Yeah.
Good, good. Time to move on. It's
Exactly.
good because people think usually we translate it as against ourselves, yes, but it's encouragement to move on. Encouragement to move on.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. It's very good. It's very positive, Jill.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it is.
It might not, it feels like, how do you say, like squeezing from all sides, or somebody pulled the carpet or the floor or the tiles, but it's encouragement to grow and to move on, not to be those. Weinreb wrote a very beautiful text about the word womb, and he says that the womb is a muscle, and when the womb grows the fetus, the womb, how do you say, sends the best condition or produces the best condition for the fetus to grow and to protect the fetus in the water in a certain temperature. And there's every few hours like drops of nourishment to the fetus. And really, the womb protects him until the last moment. But, and here comes the kick, the womb in Hebrew has a dual number, 248, even number. We call it even, like it, we can divide it into two. So the womb is not just the best protection for the fetus, but when the hour comes, the womb opposite itself on the fetus. It just make constrictions on the fetus. It's a muscle, and in a way it shoots the baby or the fetus outside of the womb. What used to be for 40 weeks the best heaven on earth for the fetus to grow suddenly opposite, like an opposite sword, sword with two heads opposite on the baby, and it just make constrictions. How do you say constriction? Is pushes the baby to go out. Nobody asked the baby, would you like to stay in this inn for another 12 years because it's so comfortable here? You have the best conditions. No, when 40 weeks are over, like there's a pressure on the mother at the back. It's not pleasant at all, but there's a pressure on the mother, and the mother holds the womb so she feels it, pushes the baby to go out. And this is not just happening physically in the womb of the mother, biological mother. It just also happens to us many, many times mentally. Mentally, we feel being pushed. We are suffering. People speak to us not nice. They're turning their back to us, swords, all kinds of things that they're not nice. We don't have to mention them and to describe because I believe each and every one of us feels the same. It's not nice. It's not nice. We're just being pushed to move on, to be born of who we are. Because a fetus is a fetus of a mother, which belongs in a way, or the mother is the great, and the fetus is little. But once the womb is pushing the fetus to go out, he is like independent. He will go to the world. He's ready. He's ready to deal with the world. So we're probably ready if it's inconvenience and everybody's pulling. So we are ready to be born. So it's good. It's
Okay.
painful, but it's good.
Yes,
Yes.
it's painful, but yes, it is good.
Questions and impressions if you have.
Just this this topic also every each and every topic we discuss, it's so incredible. But this makes me think about the portion of Lech Lecha, of when
Yes,
Abraham is supposed to leave his father's uh, home
yes,
homeland,
yes,
and the number of 100
yes,
is Lech Lecha,
yes,
and also the number of Avi, Avicha ve Imecha, your
yes,
father and your mother.
yes,
And this is very difficult to overcome these patterns, these familiar patterns, and because you don't have it's hard to break with it, and and at the same time to be loving, love, uh, to make it you know, not as a violent, you don't have to break with it in a manner that you won't talk with your family and so, but it's hard to break with these patterns and yet stay a loving person, you know. It's, you know, when the baby is kicked out, he's kicked out, and it's not easy at all, but it is for a loving reason. And
yes, yes,
maybe in the beginning we don't see this perspective that come, you know.
hmm yes. At the beginning, it's painful. It is really painful. And we don't see the benefit, but in time, we can see. This is what Violet says, that love comes in time, because at the moment we have a short perspective, like very short perspective. What is revealed into our eyes. We don't see what operates the system that pushes us to continue. The hidden, um, in the place and time we feel rejected or things are happening, it's not pleasant. But what operates in the back end is the infinite, is the hidden, which is sending us surely to a healthier life, to better life. And at the moment we feel pain and rejection, all kinds of colors, but it's the best thing. And only after a while we are able to see that this is the best that could have happened. It's like the children with of Joseph, the 13 child. In a way, Ephraim is born not directly from Jacob, but from his son Joseph in Egypt. When Reuben intervenes and he tries to prevent a birth of a 13th child, he knows the 13 is the power of love, of unity. And after Rachel dies and Jacob moves his bed to Bilhah's tent, he tries to move the furniture to doesn't fit his frontal calculation, this Babylonian thinking. Now my father will be, and with another uh, Rachel assistant, and there will be 13 child, and he makes this Babylonian calculation. Babylonian calculation is not love, and we see that the 13th child is not born not because um, Reuben may enter the tent and mix the furniture inside. But before this happened, Jacob had to struggle with the angel, and the angel told him, "Your name is Israel, Yisrael." And he touched him in a certain place, and that enough to deliver physical children. So Reuben, he doesn't know about the Sidon. He tried to prevent in the front the birth of a certain child. He did not know that Jacob understood it already. This is why he was also limping. And the 13 child, love, was born in a different time from another person. So, do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yes,
It
it's
is.
not in our hands.
It's
It's
not enough. And also, love moves in diagonal way. Love is always moving in a diagonal way, like this. Questions or impressions?
this is why it's a lot of questions. I think, in fact, but I was just remembering that after this encounter, Jacob says that he has all,
Yes,
right, Kol,
yes, yes, everything. Yes. Because all Kol is the name of the sphere of Yesod. Yes. And sometimes we find that the sphere of Yesod is also named Israel in the book of Zohar. This is why he says Kol,
and one
because his name is Israel. Yes,
and Kol
yes,
Yaakov. You said once that was 318. That is a Siach. He's the one who can
yes,
converse.
yes, yes, yes. A person who has the ability to converse doesn't need anything. He has everything. Because 318 divided into 3, and then we have Kav, like 318 divided into 3, we have 106. Kav is a line, but also Davak. You remember? To stick with. Questions?
Etik, may I
Yes.
ask a question? Just I
Yes,
was reading yesterday just this passage. I don't know if my microphone is good because I'm hearing a sound. You can hear me well?
we can hear you extremely well. Very good.
Okay. So the question is that after Jacob has his encounter with this angel,
Hmm.
he sends malachims to Esau,
Hmm.
right? He said messengers. And I was just wondering because malach, messenger, is the same root as angel.
Yes, yes.
So I was just thinking if any sage says something different from the usual that we always tend to think about just a messenger going to talk to Esav,
Hmm.
or it was uh, something different. I don't know.
There is interesting because if you want to look at it in terms of numbers, the name of Jacob, which is 100, this is very interesting. One second, I would like to move into right here. One second, second. You ask about the angels, and I would like to say the name Jacob, Yaakov, has the value of 182. Is that right?
Yes.
When we divide it into two, what do we have? Is that true? 91?
Yes. Angel.
Yes. Angel. Angel. So this is interesting. This is interesting. If you want to look at it innerly, do you understand what I'm trying to say? I just got a message
Yes.
that presentation mode has been disappeared. Do you see? I'm sorry. Now do you have an access to the whiteboard? Do you see what I was writing?
Yes. In the whiteboard is it's possible, but it's not being broadcasted to YouTube.
Okay. So this is interesting because the Bible says he sent messengers, and you ask, what is it messenger in English? But the Hebrew Bible says malachim. So it's like angels. So did he send, one second, why was he sending messengers or angels? And if we want to look at it innerly, the value of Jacob, the value of the name Jacob in Hebrew already holds two angels or two messengers. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because now we have conversation without seeing the text. When Jacob returns from the house of his father Laban, but those chapters are full with the word angels, malachim, and it's good that we open the text and see how many times the word angel is being mentioned in Hebrew, and then to go uh, step by step each time the word angel is mentioned. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because
Yes.
yet there are angels in his dream of the ladder, and there are angels that he sent to his brother Esau, and there's angels next to Mahanaim camps. So those chapters are filled with the word malachim, in English, angels or messengers. So it would be interesting to open those texts and to go slowly step by step. It's a very deep question, but it's not a coincidence that around Jacob there are so many angels. The text, if we read the text really deeply, like we read the text of Abba Kolon, if you read the text deeply, the name Jacob itself holds two angels, and those angels appear in the dream of the letter, and he sent angels or messengers to see his brother Esau, and two angels are uh, welcoming when he comes from the house of Laban. There are many, many angels. It is very deep, and for
And
this we need to cultivate wisdom.
Yes, it's amazing.
it's
Thank you for
interesting.
asking this. Yes, yes, Felipe.
Just one thing that popped up, uh, because Jacob is marked. His name is marked by the duality.
Yes, yes, excellent.
So the duality is a duality, but it's a duality fulfilled by two angels.
Yes, excellent. Metsuyan. Metsuyan is excellent in Hebrew. I said it in Hebrew because it's yes,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
right.
yes, excellent. The duality of Jacob is marked by or reflected by the two angels. Yes, because we say that every person who walks in the street, we know this maybe from a cartoon, has two angels. Yes, did you say this?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
There's an angel on the right, a shoulder, a positive angel, and a negative angel on the left, and the person is in the middle. Where does it come from?
yes.
From here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Eti.
Very pleasant meeting and conversation. And I want to wish all of you happy Thanksgiving, happy weekend, a wonderful season. And we can meet here on Monday at the same time.
Thank you
Thank you
so
Thank,
so much, Eti and friends. So good to hear you.
thank
Thank you. Thank you
you.
very much.
much.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy
Happy
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
Shalom, shalom.